When you like Ventura TV Appliance on Facebook, it's nice. But when you love the Samsung big screen we deliver, it's even better. Our website is cool, and it's a good place to start. But you really should touch the merchandise before you buy. Time for that upgrade to an HD 3D web-enabled Samsung TV. Get the best selection, price, and service in town without waiting. Come in to Ventura TV Appliance and touch the merchandise today.
Hi, I'm John Mallows. Welcome to this live edition of Connect with Me on the showroom floor at Ventura TV on this Friday morning. Hey, a quick question. Have you received one of these mailers? You should have already received it. Maybe received one, maybe two, maybe even three. You've got to mail this thing back to the city so your water rates don't go back up. You can join the conversation today. We'll talk about those water rates and these mailers. 436-ME-TV option 11. Back in a moment. Welcome back to the program. We're glad to have you along on a Friday morning. By the way, today's program here on Connect with Me on MeTV Fresno is sponsored by Turf Medics. We're glad to have that company along as a sponsorship here for the better part of the next 12 months or so. We're glad to have you on board. And so just keep in mind, you're watching us on Comcast channel 187, 43.6, 13.1. You can watch the replay of this program at 2 o'clock today on 13.6 and again at 8 o'clock tonight at 13.5. That would be Biz TV. And also catch us online 24 hours a day on YouTube. I want to talk about the water rates going up. They're talking about that again. It's a 5-year plan to, you know, I think the increases would be in increments. But here's the thing. You have a chance to stop it if you want. All you have to do is mail this little card in right here. I hold it up in my hands. We're going to put the graphics up and show you what you should have received by now in the mail. You should have received that mailer right there. Some 213,000 were mailed out by the city. That's about, 80,000 more than they did last time. That little information packet right there came along with it. And then, of course, it has many of the plans, the water rates right there that will talk about in detail about how much those water rates go up. And then they sent a card, that card right there, it's printed in English, Spanish, and Hmong, and there's only one box to check, and that's no. I protest the proposed increase to water rates is what it says. So some of you here in the city of Fresno may have received one, maybe two, maybe even three of those mailers. It doesn't harm anyone or anything to mail them all back and check that little box. And you know, see that little barcode up in the left-hand corner there? We're going to talk about that with our guest today here on the program, because all of these mailers, whether you receive one or three or more, have to be mailed in by February the 5th. That is the deadline. The city clerk's office will in fact count them all. They all have to be verified. It's like an election. Live in our studio right now to talk about this is Doug Vagim. He'll talk about that little barcode. He'll talk about the signatures or checking the box here in the card, mailing it in, and what the potential is for those rates to go up. The 5-year increase in increments. You know the water fight. It's well documented. Doug Vagim versus City Hall. He won that battle temporarily. We have another fight on our hands, so mail this card in if you don't want your water rates going up. 436-ME-TV option 11 is the telephone number. Turf Medics is our sponsor. We're back with our program. Make sure and call in. Any questions you have, we'll answer them. Back in a moment.
As a pro athlete, I played on green grass my entire career and was stunned to find a product that could make my home look as good as the turf I've grown to love. Turf Medics is a revolutionary new turf coloring system designed to reduce watering and mowing. Call 1-888 936-0444 or visit the website at www.turfmedics.com to learn more about Turf Medics by ProTurf, the real experts in real green grass.
You know, thanks to Lorenzo Neal and Turf Medics. He's our sponsor today here on the program. We're glad to have him along. Lorenzo's a good guy. He's a funny guy. He's got a good sense of humor, and we're glad he's on board. Another guy with a good sense of humor is Doug Vagim, and he's here to talk about the water rates. And I can't believe this. Why won't this issue go away? Why can't we just sweep this darn thing under the rug, Doug, and get rid of it?
Well, good morning, John, and Happy New Year to you.
Happy New Year to you.
And it's a great deal to be on your first live show of the new year. I feel honored.
Oh yeah, that's right.
And also congratulations on having some great shows in your background now, and this show has done so well.
Well, I want to thank you, Doug, for being such a loyal guest here on the program.
You bet.
We consider you a friend, and I know you'll show up anytime, any place.
You
and,
bet. You bet.
Kind of like the Fresno State Bulldogs model, right? Anytime, any place.
Yeah, not quite when Lorenzo was playing for him, but
yeah. Lorenzo Neal, our friend.
I mean, that was the teams of the day then.
Yeah.
But you asked the question,
why can't this thing go away? Why can't we put it to bed? It's almost like it's the mother-in-law that just won't go home.
Yeah, well, first of all, look, you gotta give the city and their leaders the due that they have a responsibility to stay on the maintenance and the availability of a water system, and other entities inside the city that they have to bring to fore. Whether it's a controversial one or not, they've got to keep pushing their foot to the pedal and bringing it to the public if it's controversial or not. Our big issue with them was the fact of the size, the scope, and the speed of the raises that they want, the increases of the water rates that they want to bring to the public. Last time when we got petitions, we stopped them with the petitions alone. They did not want to face the voters, so they rescinded the rates, which was within their power, by the way.
Yeah.
With a settlement agreement that we got with them, we got this mailer. That's one thing that we asked for, that the people had a hard time knowing what they got last time. They had to put a stamp on it. They had to write a blank piece of paper in an envelope and find it themselves. They didn't have a self-addressed or a free envelope this time. No cost to the participant. Just put it in an envelope with your signature if you want to protest, and have your vote counted. Now, why are we doing this? Well, first of all, I believe the rates are, again, too high. Too high. They don't need the projects that they say they need now. They can put those off to when the city is going to grow to where they say they want it to grow. Mm-hmm. They want it to grow to almost 1 million people. They want us to pay for getting ready to grow to a million people.
So you're saying that the water rates are kind of tied into the 2035 plan?
Oh, absolutely. Without these water, the 2035 plan doesn't exist.
Really?
That's absolutely right.
We're going to talk about that later in the program, not right now. I want to stick with the water rates for now. So there is a direct correlation. But, our producer, Lauren, she put together some great graphics on this mailer, and I want to put those up now. We showed them in the monologue, but we can talk about these individually because you can see for yourself. If you haven't received one, look for it because it's kind of hard to miss. And so let's stay on this just for a second. This is the envelope that should have come and arrived at your home, right, Doug?
That's right. That's correct.
Okay, it's pretty plain and simple. It says City of Fresno, and it says right on there, it says important information about an increase to your utility rates. And did you demand to have something like that?
That is our wording. We said we want. Now, I disagreed with how and matter of fact, I don't believe they followed the settlement agreement exactly, because inside it was supposed to stand, the notice itself, which you'll show in a minute, is supposed to stand out like a jury notice. Well, I don't know if that stands out like a jury notice, your flyer.
Oh, is it? Oh, you're talking about this flyer here?
Yeah, it was supposed to stand out like a jury notice, that telling them that there was a requirement that they have a protest ability inside, but they didn't do that.
There's the flyer right there.
And that doesn't look like a jury notice to me, does it?
No, it doesn't. But on the inside, you can see there. Well, we took a picture of the water rate increases.
Yeah, and just by the fact that the card falls out.
The card it could fall on the floor.
Yeah, well, the fact of it is that it shows that there's a mailer too, which did what basically at the end of the day that we were hoping that it would do.
Exactly right.
The fact that they got almost 17,000 back by Monday of last week.
And by the way, we've showed just about every page of that mailer, front, the inside, the back, and that is the card that you're supposed to check. I protest, it says, the proposed increases to water rates, and you have to check that box. There's no getting around it, and you have to sign it, right?
Yeah, I recommend checking it and signing it. The question will be, and I'm going to ask this: if someone signs it and doesn't check the box, I still believe that's a protest.
Really? And
because a very act of turning it in with a signature is a protest.
Okay.
I believe the check is just a redundant thing, but it just...
can that be challenged legally?
I believe it could, but I'm going to ask them to accept it because it makes no sense. In California election law, if you sign your ballot, it's a valid ballot, whether or not you...
See, but what if you didn't check it?
Well, if you checked a box that you voted for somebody, that will be counted.
Let's go back to this.
But there's only one item on the ballot here.
Yeah.
Why would you be sending it back if you're not protesting?
Let's go back to the ballot real quick. The box that you have to check, and there is a little barcode up on the right-hand corner. What is that?
Okay, that's what they call a quick response. It's like the old barcode. They redesigned that so cell phones and other imaging devices can
why?
Well, it has all the information about the meter number, your address, so they can sort those down to redundancy. So 3 or 4. That's why you shouldn't worry about sending 3 or 4 of them back, because the city will sort those by that little squirrely box in there, and only one will count per parcel.
Mm-hmm.
It's a parcel election. Proposition 218 is a land parcel election.
Right.
It's not a water meter election. It's a water parcel connection.
Right. But the advice would be to check the box and to sign it. We have a call coming in. Good morning, caller. You're on the air. What's your question about water rates?
Yes. Isn't this brochure basically designed to fail? Because no matter how many people sign in, you're not going to get 50% of the mail outs. So they're going to say, hey, look, you got 4,000, 5,000, but we mailed out X amount. Now, it must be that we do need the rate hike. What do you say to that? Thank you.
Well, okay, first of all, this is a Proposition 218 process, and 218 has 2 different distinct phases to it. First of all, this falls into the exempt category of what they would call a non-vote but protest only. If this was an assessment on, let's say, fixing up your curbs and gutters or something like that, where they were going to put it on your property tax bill, you would have a vote on this, an actual vote, and they'd have to count more yeses than nos in order to get it. That's how that would work.
So how does this work?
This works basically it's a yes unless they get 50% or more returns of all the participants that can participate returning, 50% or more. It's just an exemption that they put in Proposition 218 for water, for sewer, and solid waste. Now, why did they do that? Well, they did it because they didn't want municipalities having to, every time they wanted to increase for cost of living, electricity bill, that kind of stuff going up, to have to go to the full vote of the people. They wanted to ask the people through
wanted to save money?
Well, save money and not have to go through a full election process that costs, well, not only money, but it's a lot more elaborate process. Now, where I disagreed with the city, and I asked the city if they wouldn't think about this. They have the ability to do it, and that is they want to go sell $350 million bond with this, with the new rates.
What's wrong with that?
It costs a lot more than $350 million. Number one, by the time you pay it back, it'll probably cost $2/3 billion with interest and everything else.
Just to pay off that bond.
Yeah, and so I believe something that big, even a school bond, for example, requires a 55% of the electorate to pass a school bond. Okay? Now, this is a water bond. Why shouldn't it take the same amount of votes to pass this kind of bond?
I see what you're saying. Yeah.
Versus this protest. This is a lot of money. If this was a 3 to 5% increase, 7% over the 5-year period, the protest is what that was designed for in Proposition 218. Not to take 2 times your cost that you have today, and actually when you look at the flow cost, the per gallon cost, you'll be paying a factor of 3 times
Yeah, because you're not even paying the principal down yet.
Right.
It's still interest.
Well, for example, the city has a bond right now they sold in 2010. Present administration passed it, not past administration. This administration passed it, 2010. They went and got $158 million worth of cash. It's going to cost them $308 million to pay it back.
Yeah.
You and I are going to be paying that back. $175 million of that is going to New York City bondholders. Now, that's a lot of money leaving our town that could be going in our ground that's going back east to bondholders.
All right, Doug Vagim is here. We're talking about this mailer that you should have received by now. 213,000 of those were mailed out in the city of Fresno, and it asks you point blank, do you want your water rates going up? If the answer is no, you simply check the box, sign the card, mail it back for free. They put the envelope right here. No postage necessary. We're back with our program. Today's Connect with Me program on MeTV is sponsored by Turf Medics and Lorenzo Neal.
This fall, there is a place, familiar and inviting, timeless and warm. MeTV, a place all your own that you can call home.
Hi, honey, I'm home.
This fall, home is where you'll find me.
You mean to tell me that's all there is to it?
That's all.
MeTV Fresno, channel 43.6 and Xfinity 187.
As a pro athlete, I played on green grass my entire career and was stunned to find a product that could make my home look as good as the turf I've grown to love. Turf Medics is a revolutionary new turf coloring system designed to reduce watering and mowing. Call 1-888-936-0444 or visit the website at www.turfmedics.com to learn more about Turf Medics by Pro Turf, the real experts in real green grass.
All right, Turf Medics, our sponsor here on Connect with Me, the very first program of 2015. Hard to believe, and our first guest this year, Doug Vagim. We are pleased to have him along. It's our pleasure to have him in. Has been a good friend of this program since the beginning. So, Doug, the question is, okay, they mailed out 213,000 of these mailers right here. You can see it. So, let's say that only 150,000 are mailed back. Okay, are they going to count half of the 150,000 or half of the 213,000 that they mailed out?
Well, first thing they'll do is they went to an outside data processing center who will take those and sort those, and they will match up all the like properties. So in other words, if you have a duplex or a quadplex, or you have a single family home that's got a renter on it, and you got a property owner, and they both vote, it'll sort down to one vote for that parcel.
But I'm not sure how they count it. I'm not understanding how they count it. If they mail 213,000 out and they need more than 50% to turn this back, is it more than 50% of the 213,000? Because some people may not mail it in, or is it more than 50% of the ones that were actually mailed in that count?
There's a fixed number of parcels out there.
Okay.
Just like when you go to a parcel map, there's parcels fixed on the ground. Those parcels that have water service to them, no matter if they have 1 meter or 10 meters to that parcel, there's only going to be one vote, and there's only that parcel will only be counted.
But that 50%
is of those parcels.
Is of those parcels.
Not of the hookups.
Okay, I'm a little confused.
You have
by
133,000 hookups, the city says.
Right.
Okay, not all of those are on per parcel. There might be multiple hookups per parcel.
So they only count one hookup per parcel.
Right.
Okay, but of the mailers that come back, is it 50% of the hookups?
50% of the parcels that those meters are hooked to.
But some of those people may not mail this back.
Some of the people, but for example, if you are in a single family home,
right,
and you are a tenant, and another, you'll get one now. They didn't get one last time. That's where those 80,000 extra came.
Right,
in.
but will the city clerk sit there and say, okay, we received 150,000 back, so we're going to count 50% of those, or 50% of the 213,000 we mailed out?
No, 50% of how many count? Let's go back and simplify it even further. Let's say that, back to that one tenant, single family owner, let's say the tenant and the owner both mail back the ballot card.
Right.
Okay? They'll get 2 votes. but it's for one parcel. That will count as one vote. Those two.
So they're only counting the ones that they receive back.
And towards each parcel. So in other words.
Okay. Gosh, it gets confusing.
Well, it is.
You better sit in on the count.
Well, I'm writing them a letter, and I'm getting everything back, and you can have me on it. I'll explain exactly how they do it, because we may have.
It really is confusing. Why did they make it so complex?
Well, that's the way Proposition 218 is, and that's why at least we got to start here with this free mail back.
Yeah.
That's
All right.
the start.
Caller, you're on with Doug Vagim. Go ahead.
Hi, Doug.
Hi.
We've got both names on our property. Which name should we sign both names or what?
Yes, just sign your name. See, now the reason why some people let me explain this too. Some people who live in their own homes, who own their home, get the property tax bill to them, and also get the water bill to them.
What if they have a tenant?
Well, let's just leave that out for Sal.
Okay.
Let's say you're an owner of your own property, okay?
Okay.
Some people are getting two. Now, why is that? So, address may be spelled West, W-S-T, and the other one from your property tax may just be W, period. Well, the city doesn't understand, the city's computer systems do not understand West is the same address as a W, period. So they'll send you two. You follow what I mean?
Yeah.
So some people are getting two because they have a little different spelling in whether or not it's abbreviated West or a W or an N for North. Just send them both back, because we made sure, and that's one of the parts that we agreed on with the city of Fresno, that this is going to be a free return mail. U.S. postage will be picked up and sent over to the city of Fresno. You owe us a postage stamp. You, the ratepayer, don't have to pay for it. Don't have to go look for a stamp. Don't have to write an address like you did before. You just check that card and sign it, and you've done. And you can put it out in any mailbox or hang it out of your mailbox, and your mailman will pick it up. And it goes to the post office, and the city has to go over and pick them up.
Ma'am, you there?
We didn't get to. We got both names on it because we both own the property.
Okay. Well, you must have a water bill too, right?
Yeah, I guess.
Okay, so you got one for your water bill, and you got one for your property tax. Now, the reason why you got two, there was a little difference in the way the property tax have your name recorded and how the city has your name on the water bill. If it's just a fraction of a difference, if it's just a period versus a capitalized letter, they will treat that as two different notices having to go out. Don't worry about it. They're free to you. Send them both back. Send them back in their own envelopes, because that little box ties to the card. And
well, there's two of us names, but only one came.
Two names, but one came. Well, it's one ownership. See, one ownership.
Ownership of both of us.
Yes, that's how that
We both own it.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
We both own it, but
yes.
We only got one thing.
Yes, and you should get one note. If you both own it and you're both paying your own water bill, and that water, you're only getting one water hookup to that property.
Right.
You'll get one notice if everything is exactly the same. For example, I got one because happens to be my wife and I's names are on that. For some reason, even though my name is only on that, they were able to understand that Doug Vagim was part of that identical address, and my address happens to be identical on my property tax bill as it is on the water bill.
Oh.
So they didn't send me note. But if some people have a little different way, back to that West versus W period, if you have that kind of situation, or if I am on North Poplar, if I had an N Poplar versus an NORTH Poplar,
right,
I would have gotten two. It happened to be that I have just identical on both, so I got one notice.
Okay.
So no matter how many you get, just mail them all back, because the city will sort them out, and they will count them as one vote.
Okay.
And that's what's the main thing is, get your vote. It doesn't matter how many, just make sure you're counted.
Got to take a break. Doug Vagim is here talking about the water rates maybe going up, and about this mailer that arrived at your home, or at least it should have by now. February 5th is the deadline to mail that thing back. Turf Medics are sponsored today here on Connect with Me on MeTV Fresno. Happy New Year, and we're back in just a moment.
Ladies' Night was started in his honor. Barstools pulled themselves out for him. The only thing Chuck Norris is afraid of is her. Cheers is the most memorable bar in the world. You may not always watch comedy, but when you do, watch Cheers.
MeTV Fresno, channel 43.6 and Xfinity 187.
As a pro athlete, I played on green grass my entire career and was stunned to find a product that could make my home look as good as the turf I've grown to love. Turf Medics is a revolutionary new turf coloring system designed to reduce watering and mowing. Call 1-888-936-0444 or visit the website at www.turfmedics.com to learn more about Turf Medics by Pro Turf, the real experts in real green grass.
The Ballad of Andy and Barney. Andy and Barney were lawmen, bravest you ever did see. Warned every crook in the record book to stay out of Mayberry. They were the law.
Yes, they were the law, and they didn't know fear.
The Andy Griffith Show.
I guess to sum it up, you could say there's 3 reasons why there's so little crime in Mayberry. There's Andy, and there's me, and baby makes 3.
Now on MeTV Fresno.
Turf Medics is our sponsor today on the program. Connect with me on MeTV Fresno, and Doug Vagim is here. You know, I have since prior to Thanksgiving week, and we do have a phone call, I've been trying to reach out to Mark Standrift. He is the city spokesperson, being paid 125 big smackaroonies a year to talk to the media, and he hasn't called me back. That's been more than a month and a half now prior to Thanksgiving. Haven't heard from him to talk about this because I wanted Tommy Escueda to be here on the set debating Doug Vagim on this, and we haven't been able to get a hold of Mr. Standrift. Caller, you're on the air. Go ahead. Caller. Hello.
Hello.
Yeah, go ahead. You're on the air.
Oh, I was calling to ask a question about why does Fresno City only get to vote for the water instead of Fresno County?
Well, Fresno County islands that get a Fresno City water bill have the notice to their home. They should have. If you get a Fresno City water bill or utility bill for then water's on it, you have the right to participate in this process. And if you didn't get a notice and you are of such a person that should be getting a notice, call the city clerk's office. It's one of the agreements I got out of the city, that they will send you a notice, and I can give you that number, 621-7651. That's 621-7651.
So call the
city clerk.
If you want what?
If you didn't get a notice and you think you should have got a notice, some people didn't get a notice.
All right.
Call 621-7651 and they will send you a notice. Do it early in the process because you have just over 30, 31, 32 days left in the process.
February 5th is the deadline. Thank you very much for the call.
And by the way, that February 5th now is the day they have to have it in their hands. So if you mail it February 5th, they will not get it. So make sure you, if it's February 5th and it dawns on you, I didn't turn it in, drive it down there and take it to the city clerk's office.
So it's not like your taxes. If it's postmarked on a certain day, it counts.
No.
It can't be postmarked on the 5th, otherwise it won't count. They have to have it in-house.
In-house, that's right. Like election.
Incredible.
Yeah,
okay, so Doug, if you call that number, will you be able to get the city clerk on the line and ask that question?
Yes, that's directly into the city clerk. It bypasses the phone tree and all that stuff about.
Okay,
you know.
now explain. This does not pertain to anybody in the county. It's only the city.
No, county islands are serviced.
Fig Garden.
Almost 13,000 parcels.
So like Fig Garden Village is.
Fig Garden, Sunnyside, Mayfair District. And some scattering little areas in and out around those areas are county islands. Almost 13,000 parcels.
I do want to put, we do have several different graphics here talking about water rates. Okay, last time you said they were too high. You believe they're too high this time. Let's put those water rates up on the screen now. This is the original plan, I guess, prior to your fight with the city.
No, this is this current plan.
Is this the current plan right here? Okay, this is the original plan. It's worth 400 and what I can't
$29 million.
Yeah, 442, isn't it?
No, 429.
429. Okay.
Yeah.
This is the original plan, and so what plan is that? They were debating that plan. I
well,
believe.
they were debating that, but year 5 rate is the same for all of them. Okay, plan the higher rate. Go back to the $52, Lauren, if you can. And that's the highest. That's the plan that they adopted right there.
Okay, that's the $429 million one that you're talking about.
That's
so
right.
this is the plan right here.
Right.
They debated those other two that we saw, and they
Right.
finally agreed on this one. So this is how your rates would go up. The current rate right now is $24.49.
Okay, now, can we clarify that, please?
Yeah, go ahead.
That is a figure they grabbed out of the air. Okay.
That's their figure.
That's their figure. They did, and they said they did an average of what an average Fresnon uses in their water across the whole base.
Okay.
I pinned them down on that one day, and they said, yeah, you're right, we're a little low on that. And they say that's a factor of 18, whatever it is. It should be a factor of 24 is the average. So instead of multiplying whatever they got, which is 18 to get that figure, you need to raise all that because it was a factor of 24.
Oh.
So in other words, people are using almost another third more amount of water than this figure represents. So that 52 at the end is not going to be 52, it's going to be higher for the average person.
So as you can see, over the course of 5 years, your water rate more than doubles.
Yeah, that's just an average now. That's
I know.
Because it's counted by each individual meter. So
depending on how much water you use.
Well, depending on how hot it is, how dry it is in the summer, you will need more water if you don't want your plants to die.
Right, and so that figure could be, that current figure could be anywhere, depending on the household, it could vary from $24 to $35.
Or it could be even less.
It could be even less.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that $52 could be $152 for some people.
Right. All right. Let's take another phone call here. Good morning. You're on Connect with Me. Caller, your question for Doug Vagim.
Yeah, hi. I was wondering whose rights trumps whose? The ag, the Delta Smelt, or citizens of Fresno?
That's right. Did you hear that? I didn't.
No, I didn't understand that question. I heard Delta Smelt, but we're talking about water rates here. What's the question?
Yeah, these water rates are being increased mainly because of the Southeast surface water treatment plant.
Mainly, that's 2/3 of the cost.
Yeah.
2/3 of the cost that they're trying to cover with these water rates is for that plant. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I was wondering whose rights trumps whose? Ag, the Delta Smelt, or the citizens of Fresno?
Well, whose rights are more important, Delta Smelt or the citizens of Fresno?
Yeah, if they had to, if the state, if the government of California had to decide on who would get what water, who would be the priority, Ag, the Delta Smelt, or the city of Fresno?
Well, everybody has a portion of the water that they've had over the history or going back for decades. The Delta Smelt has come to fore because of court cases, and all of a sudden they got their share carved out of everybody else's. And it's a dream that the Delta Smelt will be brought back to a river that has not had a salmon in it for, what, 50, 60, 70 years. And now they're having to truck them. They get their own private chauffeured transportation going back up and down. Look, I'm a person that likes to maintain our animal life and our
wildlife.
Yeah. And believe me, fish and streams are very, very, very important. But there's a point in time when realistic points of view hit the foolishness. And I think we're pretty close to that right now with this whole Delta Smelt. And the reason why the ag folks are having to pump as much water as they are, and the reason why we're having a surface water issue here in the city of Fresno, is the fact that 10 times as many straws have been put down in the aquifer to pump for ag water as they had.
Because we don't have enough surface water.
That's correct. And they wouldn't have had to do that if they had the surface water. Right. Now, with this whole new legislation, and we can talk about that later if you want, tying everybody together with the groundwater versus surface water is a whole new
that's a different topic.
Well, yeah, but it all balances out. And the city of Fresno running ahead with this without talking about its regional issues with its partners.
This doesn't directly relate to the drought.
Well, it
indirectly relates to
well,
the
it
drought.
does, because they're saying they need to go grab their surface water because they don't want to be using their groundwater, and they argue that they're using too much groundwater and they're not replenishing it fast enough. That is a fallacy because they don't know.
Have control over the surface water. It's the feds. It's the state.
Kings River is a locally controlled water source because it's a flood control program.
So they can control that.
But it's controlled by 28 agencies.
Yeah.
And we're not even one of the agencies. We're just bootstrapped along with Fresno Irrigation District because we're part of Fresno Irrigation District. The city of Fresno is like one giant farmer to Fresno Irrigation District. And we get to get 25%. The city of Fresno gets 25%.
So the city is saying we want our allocation.
We want our constant allocation of 25% of whatever you take, FID. That's what they get, 25% of Fresno Irrigation District. And Fresno Irrigation District gets somewhere in the neighborhood of 30 to 40% of the Kings River water flowing through its system. And they're almost, matter of fact, they're number one of any first gallon that flows. FID is in there getting some of that water, and Fresno gets to take that share of that water. The issue is, matter of fact, we pay about $12 an acre foot for that water that we get
from the Kings
River, and they want to charge us with these new rates over $850 an acre foot. The citizens, $12 an acre foot they're paying for it, and we're going to be being charged over $850 an acre foot by the city of Fresno. What are they doing with that extra money, John?
I don't know. I mean, I don't know. I wish I had those figures in my head. You have them in your head. Good morning. You're on Connect with Me with Doug Vagim, caller.
Oh, yes. My name is Hazel, and we have many folks in our church from the upper Midwest, and they say there's plenty of smelt in Minnesota. So if we run out of smelt here in California, why can't we ship some smelt from the upper Midwest and bring it here? I don't think that's kind of an option. We need to be able to relocate the smelt from the upper Midwest and send them to California.
Right. It's not even
all this business about the smelt seems to be rather ridiculous.
It's not even an endangered species because it is a variety of a salmon. There's a plenty of those that variety. The issue is that the historic flow of the river was challenged about what it could do with the fisheries, and that the court had no other option but to read the law.
It's basically water allocation.
Yeah, Congress,
who gets what and how much?
Well, Congress needs to change the language. Now, whether this new Congress will have the ability to do that with the president signing it, I don't know. But that's the only way it's going to be clarified, because the law makes the courts make their findings the way it is, because the law says something that the courts can't get around.
We got to take a break, but you have to wonder how all this ties in. Everything is tied in, the 2030 plan to the drought. You have to wonder if the city's using the drought as an excuse to raise your water rates. I don't know. 436-ME-TV, option 11. We're here for the duration until 11 o'clock. Turf Medics, our sponsor today. We're back in a moment.
Frigidaire. We introduced the first home freezer, the first pulsator agitator washer, and now we introduce the Frigidaire Orbit Clean dishwasher, designed with a unique wash arm that gives you 4 times more water coverage for a consistently better clean. Frigidaire, over 90 years of legendary innovation.
See the full line of Frigidaire appliances at Ventura TV Electronics and Appliances.
Back here on the program on Connect with Me. Caller, you're on the air with Doug Vagim, and your question, please. Go ahead. Yeah.
Mr. Vagim and everybody else have done a calculation on our catch basins to see what the total gallonage is, and if they've done that, they could be, seems to me the capacity could be increased, and then that water could be used within the city of Fresno, or they could use it as a resource to sell it to farmers that might be cheaper than them depleting the groundwater.
Well, okay, those are valid points, except the fact that the groundwater that we put a straw in and bring up through our wells is the same groundwater that somebody just on the outside of the city limits can put a straw in and put
a draw out of the same tank, huh?
So we are doing, we're costing ourselves a lot of money to preserve that water, while somebody just on the outside can be sucking that water right up and taking advantage of the water we save. What good is that? And the fact of it is, this new law makes that all tied in together, but we haven't applied the new law in a regional way before we jumped ahead with this plan. And I'm saying the city of Fresno needs to sit down with the other agencies, come up with a conjunctive plan with those other agencies, and then come back to the table and design a program.
A water rate plan.
A water rate plan. That's the only way it can work. Right. With the new laws out there, that makes it more evident than ever. And why they're jumping ahead with this thing is the fact that they just want to jump ahead and have a great big water source for their growth that goes all the way out to McCall Avenue.
We're gonna talk about that in a minute. I want to put the water rates back up. up that plan that has $429 million worth. It's a 5-year deal that shows small increments in your water rate increases. Right now, you know, that current rate is going to vary depending on how much water you use because everyone is on a water meter. So you could be using less than 24, you could be using a lot more. No less, year 5, it's going to double. And I just want one more question before we go on to something else in that 2035 plan and how it ties in. How did they arrive at these rates, these increases? Do you know? How did the city arrive at, say, year 4, we're going to be paying $47?
Well, they take the costs that they want to apply to their program, what they want to spend, what they need to spend. One of them, and 2/3 of it, again, is for that water plant alone.
Right.
And if they take that out, our rates would only have to go up a fraction to fix all the infrastructure up, to complete the system they have up in the northeast plant, complete the surface water supply from the San Joaquin Kern line. They want to plug right into the Bryant Kern Canal, and they would not have to raise these rates to do all that. And they can put this whole water plant off for a number of years because they don't need it for that system.
We'll talk about that in a minute. Caller, quickly, you're on the air. Caller?
Hi, John.
Hi, go ahead, you're on the air.
This is Martinez. First off, I have a statement. As we're watching your program, those of us that have not mailed these little letters, statements, cards, as we're watching your program, maybe we could go and reach for them and sign them and mail them in now.
Good. Yeah, hold that up, John, and show them.
Yeah, maybe we'll put those up on the screen real quick. I don't know. But the card is very, I mean, it's very self-explanatory.
If you see it in your mail, because it's unfortunate the city mail.
There it is.
Laura, maybe you could put up the envelope so they could find the envelope. Because it's unfortunate the city used the Christmas season to mail these out. Right in the middle of all the mail you're getting for advertisings, for, you know, big sales from stores, for Christmas cards. This has popped up. At least it stands out like a banner. And it has a better standout than the blue brochure that they usually put out talking about how their programs are getting water.
They're figuring, the city of Fresno is figuring, Doug, that maybe this will get lost in the shuffle because of the holiday season.
It comes out to 21st of December, for Pete's sakes, or actually 19th is the first day they mail them out.
Right.
And a lot of people are just going to look at it. Well, I don't know what that is. I don't want to even open it. I'm so busy. I got Christmas holidays, this and that. I got guests.
What am I going to open that for?
Yeah, and then you know how mail goes. It goes to the bottom and disappears.
Out of sight, out of mind.
So the caller is right. I think everyone has one of those. If you have one at home and you have neighbors, please show did you get one of these? You have the right to vote. Open it up, check it, sign it, and just drop it in the free mailer. Easy to do. We made it real easy to do, and the city accepted that.
It should be public. Why aren't the other television stations, radio stations, maybe the Fresno Bee, why aren't they publicizing this?
I don't know. The Fresno Bee ought to have had this thing on their front page every day, I think, but that's my opinion.
Yeah, but that's right. Out of sight, out of mind, so do it now while it's top of mind while we're talking about it. Okay, I want to put up the 2035 plan, the map, because you talked about the water rates being tied into the 2035 plan, and this, in your opinion, is about doubling the size, the city of Fresno. There's our map right there, and you talked about this being the sprawl to McCall, and it's a land grab on the east side, according to you, right? 15 to 20 square miles from Temperance to McCall, going east and west, and Ashland to Jensen, going north to south. So by 2035, they want to double the population to what, 1 million people?
Just short of 1 million people.
Okay, just short of 1 million people.
Well, actually, they say 2056 is when that's going to happen, but the fact of it is, it could happen in 1 year.
But they have a water treatment plant out there that has to go in if they're going to double the size.
Right, because they say they have well issues over there, and they don't want to put the wells in anymore. They want to have a water treatment plant to provide the water.
So is that why they're raising the rates?
Yeah, they won't say that, but that's exactly why they're raising the rates.
All right, caller, go ahead. You're on the air.
Yes, John?
Yeah, go ahead. Speak up, go ahead.
The water meter. Okay, some of the houses has water meters that doesn't have nothing to do with it. What about some of the places like apartments? For each unit, it's almost the same thing like in Clovis. In Clovis has the same problem. Apartments that has water meters for each tenant. And the answer is if you decide you don't want the water meter, that means you got to install it anyway. Don't make a difference what you say.
No, the water meters are a part of city policy now. As a matter of fact, they say it's part of state law and part of the federal government's CVP program that they had to have water meters in order to get the water. Well, that statement is untrue because they have a right to get that water. That's in the agreements with the federal government and the state of California, that water shall be given to the city of Fresno of their share, 60,000 acre feet, and they cannot short the city of Fresno unless everybody is out of water. Like this year, they got no water out of the federal system, zero.
Right.
0 gallons, because there was not enough water. There was a drought. But the fact that they put water meters in is a policy the city of Fresno put in place. They're here. You can't get around them, and you have to be hooked to a water meter. Now, okay, they're in. They're being paid for. They're much more. They only told us they were going to cost $35 million when they put them in. It's going to cost us $250 million.
Wow.
Because it just
Why?
because they had to go float a great big bond, and the bond interest and everything else.
Bond.
Yeah. Like I say, they went and borrowed and got $158 million worth of cash, and we're going to be paying $308 million to pay it off. Now that's like a bad credit card, okay? Bad interest credit card.
Yeah.
My fear is they want to do that with a third of $1 billion bond.
Right.
And you know, guess what? If they play that again, that thing is going to cost us $2/3 of $1 billion to pay it back.
Right.
And we'll be paying for a bond, not for water.
Hey, give out that phone number one more time to the city.
621-7651. 621-7651 is the city clerk. If you didn't get one of these, call them, and they will mail you one.
And if you can't get a hold of that person, the city clerk, and you have any kind of question, you know what? We've been trying to get a hold of Mark Standrift for the better part of a month. He won't return phone calls, emails, or text messages. So call him at 621-8000. Mark Standrift is the spokesperson, at least he's supposed to be, for the city of Fresno. Hasn't returned our calls, haven't seen him on the air, in the paper, or anything for the better part of 2 months. Back here on our program, our thanks to Turf Medics, our sponsor today on Connect with Me.
As a pro athlete, I played on green grass my entire career and was stunned to find a product that could make my home look as good as the turf I've grown to love. Turf Medics is a revolutionary new turf coloring system designed to reduce watering and mowing. Call 1-888-936-0444 or visit the website at www.turfmedics.com to learn more about Turf Medics by Pro Turf, the real experts in real green grass.
Attention all units. We have reports of 2 motorcycle cops protecting California's highway.
That's for us, good buddy. The Men of Chips are on MeTV.
Hi, I'm John Baker. I'm John Baker. It's Officer Baker.
He's the blonde one.
Hi there. Officer Poncherello, man. Frank Poncherello. Well, I'm Frank Poncherello.
And he's the one who's Eric Estrada.
There's no way I wouldn't remember a name like that.
Catch the blonde one and the one who's Eric Estrada.
Now on MeTV Fresno, Xfinity 187.
So the mailers should have been mailed to your house by now, due by February 5th inside City Hall. You can't mail it on the 5th. It's got to be in-house at City Hall by the 5th. Caller, you're on the air with Doug Vagim. Go ahead.
Yes, I was just wondering when we're supposed to receive those, because I haven't received one. Okay. I get mail at 2 different places, at my place of residence and a box number. I haven't received it, so is there a reason why?
Well, no. If you receive a Fresno City utility bill that has a water bill component to it, or you are a landowner in the city of Fresno, a city parcel in the city of Fresno, you should have received one of these notices.
And if they haven't, they can call that number.
Call the city clerk's office at 621-7651. 621-7651.
Again, 621-7651. 7651.
7651, yes. 621-7651.
You got that?
621-7651.
That's correct. That's the city clerk's office. They will answer, city clerk, and you tell them what you're calling about. And tell them you're at whatever information they ask you that you have to get your notice. Please give it to them.
Hey, caller, are you still there?
Yes.
When you call the city clerk's office, you tell them that you watched our program here on Connect with Me on MeTV Fresno, and Doug Vagim gave you the information as to where to call.
Thank you.
Okay. All right. Thank you, and Happy New Year. Thanks for calling in. I want to get back to the map just a little bit. The sprawl to McCall, 15 to 20 square miles out there on the east side. Temperance to McCall, east and west, Ashland to Jensen, north to south. Now, you said that the mayor wants to bring all that land into the city limit, because why? It's a land grab. They don't want Sanger to get it?
Well, it's been in the city's sphere line, sphere of influence. Let's call it sphere of influence is what the proper name is. There's a governing agency over all the district lines in each county of California. It's called Local Area Formation Commission.
Right.
And they make the judgments of where those growth lines should be. The city went and got that growth line in 2007.
Because they didn't want Clovis to get it? Because they didn't want Sanger to get it?
Well, basically it's a landlock for Clovis and Sanger, and if you look, and Fowler, because they go all the way to down to North Avenue. And
yeah, that could be a land grab for all three of those cities.
And it keeps them from coming our way. We want to grow their way. That's basically what it is.
So it's because it's more of a tax base for the city of Fresno.
That's right.
All right. Caller, you're on the air with Doug Vagim. Go ahead.
Hi, I'm calling. I called that number that you gave on the air, 621-8000. And it was Mayor Ashley's number.
No.
I wasn't clear on the name. Did I get that wrong?
What number? 621-7651. Is that what you called?
No, that was the city clerk, and then he gave the number of the man that wouldn't answer your call, text, or phone, anything to answer about the water issues.
Okay, well, it is 621-7651. So you need to call that number, ma'am, and ask for the city clerk. Pardon me?
Okay. No, okay.
Oh, you wanted? Did you want Mark Standriff's number?
Yeah.
Oh.
I was going to try to help you out and just see if I could get a call.
Okay. All right. Listen. Get off the phone and then listen. Tune into your TV, and I'll give it out over the air. You take the information off the air, off your television. Is that okay?
All right. Thank you.
Okay. I'll give it to you before we get off the air. But if you want to call the city clerk at 621-7651, I'll give you Mark Standriff's number in just a moment so you can call him. He is the city spokesperson for the city of Fresno, hired specifically for what reason, Doug?
Well, primarily during this time during Measure G and now the water issue, he was brought on, I believe, basically to put out a public information campaign on the city side. And that's his job, and that's what he does.
Well, we haven't been able to get a hold of him. I haven't seen his name in the Fresno Bee, have not seen him on television, heard him on radio for a long time. But they want this land on the east side, 15 to 20 square miles, to build homes, businesses, commercial buildings, shopping centers, schools, police stations, fire stations. It's like adding to the city of Fresno the already existing pretty much land that or city that we call Fresno, right?
It's scheduled with the general plan 2035. It's scheduled to almost double the population of the current city of Fresno right now. Double the population.
Which will be almost nearly a million people.
Yeah, 970 in the general plan, but that doesn't limit the size of city of Fresno. They can grow to 1.5 million inside that footprint. They're just estimating what the plan will hold. Okay.
Okay.
Now they say that the plan won't really come to fruition as far as those kind of numbers in till 2056. Well, let me just say this. If you have all the land in the area and you go hog all the water in the area and no one else can get water and no one else can get land, because water and land growth are going to be tied together very tightly now.
Right, and water rates all tied in.
All tied in, and your growth patterns will be tied into that. Guess who is the only show in town or in Central Valley who can grow? City of Fresno.
City of Fresno.
And so you are paying for that future venture of that let's go on growth.
I do want to take a quick break here on Connect with Me. We're going to come back, and that caller that called in, the last one, I will give you a couple of phone numbers. We'll run that down. We're back here on the program on MeTV Fresno. Our situation today is a good one because it's the first show of 2015 sponsored by Turf Medics.
Frigidaire. It means the first electric refrigerator. The first compact electric range. Now, there's the Frigidaire Gallery Range with Symmetry double ovens. It's designed to cook multiple dishes at multiple temperatures, so you can prepare the entire meal at the same time. Frigidaire, over 90 years of legendary innovation.
See the full line of Frigidaire appliances at Ventura TV Electronics and Appliances.
As a pro athlete, I played on green grass my entire career and was stunned to find a product that could make my home look as good as the turf I've grown to love. Turf Medics is a revolutionary new turf coloring system designed to reduce watering and mowing. Call 1-888-936-0444 or visit the website at www.turfmedics.com to learn more about Turf Medics by Pro Turf, the real experts in real green grass.
We're back here on the program. Thanks to Turf Medics and Lorenzo Neal for the sponsorship, and Doug Vagim is here. So you gave out the number to the city clerk. It's 621-7651.
That's correct.
But this young lady wants to get a hold of Mark Standriff. He is the public, what is it? The public information officer?
That's right.
The whatever you call it.
Whatever the title is. But
the title
that's
is.
What he does. He gives public information for the city of Fresno.
For the city of Fresno. So if you want to contact him, you can call the following number, and then whoever picks up the phone there at City Hall, just say, look, I need to talk to Mark Standriff. I was watching Connect with Me with John Mallows, and he gave me this number. It's 621-8000. Now you might say, okay, yeah, I know that's the mayor's number, but it's City Hall's number. You can call 621-8000, ask for Mark Standriff, and they will patch you through and connect you through. I have his cell number right here, but I'm kind of hesitant to give that out on the air. Think I'll get in trouble if I do? I don't know. Caller, are you there? Hello, caller? Caller,
Hello?
Go ahead.
Yes, question. Who's involved in making this program on the water rates? People at City Hall.
Well, it was proposed by the mayor, and the city council agreed, and they got a 7-0 vote to go along with this rate increase. So all members of the council are part of this now. Before we had 2 council members that were resistance on what these rates should be, and last year when we had this settlement, they came back with a whole program of new rates, which basically are nothing more than what they had last year, and even more. It's even a greater program cost, this new rate increase than last year's. But all 7 council members voted for this, and I totally disagree with the process. This isn't anything personal with me. This is a matter of what is good for the community, what is good for the individuals in our community, and this is not good for the individuals in our community. It makes you bear the cost of their future program.
All right.
Well,
go ahead.
I think there is a question on the city of Fresno. Citizens should have a recall on these individuals that are against the city.
Well, if you could put this protest ballot in, you don't have to do a recall. You'll send a strong message to City Council. If you get everyone you know, and you get on whatever method you have to communicate with your friends and family and neighbors, tell them to send this protest card back. It's free. They shouldn't have any hesitation.
Yeah. Okay.
But they're going to try to do something now. If they're sneaky through this, they're going to do something.
Well,
else
individuals can do that. I encourage people to get involved in whatever way you can. If you feel compelled to do that, God bless you. That's our system. We've had people die for this country to give us that. We should be working hard to honor that.
Listen, caller, your way of retaliation and to stand up against the water rates is to send that card back in and urge your friends and family to do the same.
Okay, then. So we should look at a recall of some of the individuals there. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
All right. Forget about the recall. Just send in the card that you received in the mail. You should have received this card by now. It's due by February the 5th. That asks you right there, do you want your water rates to increase? And the answer is no. Okay? If you check the box, it means no. And so you have to sign it, mail it in. They have to have it in-house by February the 5th. And so, Doug, you have a website there?
Yeah, it's a lowerwaterbill.com. All one word, but 3 words make up one word. Lowerwaterbill.com. Lowerwaterbill.com, all tied together. And there you can jump to a Facebook site, too. There's a Facebook called Citizens for Lower Water Bills, and you can post things there and that type of thing.
And quickly, to reiterate Mark Standriff's number, it's 621-8000. Ask the woman, whoever answers the phone there, for Mark Standriff's line. We've got 10 seconds left. Doug, Happy New Year. Thank you,
and all the best to you guys in this program. It's a wonderful program. It's a community program, and God bless you for doing it.
All right. God bless you, too. Have a healthy year.
Thank you very much.
We'll see you during the course of time here in the next 12 months. Back with another edition of Connect with Me on Monday. Have a great weekend. See you then.